Hi, and welcome to Anne Marie's Workshop. My name is Anne Marie, and I love to make things with joy. If you like to make things with joy, you have found the right place. Please like, subscribe, and share. Okay, so today I would like to show you how I was able to make a pattern from my daughter's favorite dress that she bought at a resale shop. She bought it in Portland, Oregon. I will supply the name in the description box, but it was one of her favorite dresses, and I have copied it and I made it for her in a red, black, and blue. I call it her Spider-Man dress with a full crinoline underskirt, and I will show you that over here somewhere or over here. We'll see how it works out. And she loved it so much so that when it was time for the Sarah channel, I was able to take out that pattern that I had made with Christmas paper and make her that exact same dress. All right, so let's talk about it. Now, this is the original dress. Let's see if I can back up a bit so you can see it. It had a beautiful, oh, not enough. Hold on, sorry about the noise. There you go. It had a beautiful sweetheart neckline. It had a little bit of a dip right here, not really a point, a little bit of a dip right here. It had a front panel, two side panels. The back was ruched with elastic, but you can see the elastic has given up the ghost, and a back zipper all the way down here to just at the top of the bottom, or about hip distance. It had no pockets, and it had a halter neckline. So I did do a few adjustments. Now, while my daughter was cute as a button in this dress, she does have a very large bosom, and she did need the support of shoulder straps. So I did alter that, and I will show you what the shoulder straps look like here. And then on top of that, I wanted to give her pockets because she does not carry a purse. She usually carries a larger phone with one of those things at the back for cards and a few dollars and stuff like that. It's beyond me. I'm a handbag toting woman, but that's how she lives. So let me show you what I did. This is also oh, it does have pockets. Look at that. It has a, say, 3/4 circular skirt. It's not the full circle. It could use a little bit more on the side to be the full circle, but it's enough to give it a spin, give it some romance, give it some pizzazz. So let me show you what I did. Since I made the original pattern, since then I have progressed past my Christmas wrapping paper, and I have actually, because I made this dress a total of 7 times, I felt it deserved its own muslin. So I found this striped white polyester blend fabric at, you know where, things. And what I did is I went ahead and recreated the pattern on these pieces, because this way, if I run across a cute fabric, I can recreate this dress for her in any way, and I don't need to fit it because it is fitted exactly to her with enough leeway for a little bit of a weight fluctuation as the month goes by. You know what I mean. Alrighty, so I am going to show you how to do it with wrapping paper. If you have tracing paper, if you have the paperback brown paper from grocery bags, brown paper, any kind of paper that you have that you can use to make this pattern. As I examine this dress, that's going to be the first thing to check for, is what sort of things do you need to copy. I know for a fact I'm going to need to copy this front panel, these side front panels, the back panel, and the front and back of this 3/4 circular skirt. Okay, so that's about 5 or 6 pattern pieces. There is a facing included in this dress. So you're going to have to make a facing for this and for the side. There was shearing at the side that had given up the ghost, so I just went ahead and cut it out and doubled, made a little bit more on the seam allowance so I could turn this over. We'll talk about it. Let's get started. This is just standard regular wrapping paper that I have around the house. You can use whatever paper you like. It just needs to be something that can that is not thick enough that it will obstruct you from rubbing with your crayon, if you choose to use a crayon. All right, so the very first thing I'd like to do is to rub an impression of this center panel on this dress. So I'm going to fold my dress in half down to that center point, and I'm just going to put my paper on top and rub along these seam lines to take an impression. Okay, so this is the first one. So let's see what we get. All right, so I can see the general outline. Ideally, in order to add the seam allowance onto my rubbed out pattern that I'm making, I used to have a wonderful French curve that looks like this, but I had one much larger to follow along with the curves of the pattern, and it had a seam allowance built into it. I got it at this wonderful fitting class that I took decades ago. But unfortunately, I used it so much, and it did not survive the trip. It broke. It snapped into to a few pieces. So I no longer have that. But I'm on the lookout for another one. But in the meantime, I do have this seam gauge by Dritz that you can get at Joann's. And you can go ahead. I'm going to set mine to 5/8 of an inch. And I'm going to go along the edge and make little dots to help me so that I can know how to add on a seam allowance to all these edges. Now I'm going to use a pencil to connect the dots, and then I'll go over it with marker. As you can see, this is kind of freehand, but I promise you, it works. Now, one of the hardest things about making your own rubbings is you have to identify the piece. So remember, this is the center front panel. Let's say front bodice panel, right? Now we know that, oh, see, now I have already found a mistake. I'm so glad I did this, because this is placed on the fold. So we don't need any of that. So this is the front line, and we've got to tell ourselves to place this line on the fold. Okay? And we're only going to cut one, right? Okay. So now I feel pretty solid about this. I'm going to go over this with my marker. And now I'm pretty sure about this piece. Okay, so this is the front bodice piece. For us, there are not too many pieces on this pattern. So we're going to go ahead now and move on to the front side piece. All right, because remember, this dress had a center sweetheart bodice in the front here, and two front side panels that are going to be attached at either side to make the front of the dress. Okay, so this time I'm going to do the very same thing. I am going to lay out my dress underneath this wrapping paper. Now, the reason you don't want your paper to be too thick is you want to be able, for your crayon or your colored chalk or whatever you choose to use, to be felt through the paper. All right. Okay, I can kind of feel the edges. So I'm kind of pressing it out. All right, so I can kind of feel where everything is. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and start. And rub. So you can kind of see where the darker line is. That's where the stitching is. And it's okay to check, you know, just to be sure. Is that where it is? All right. So we're going to check. Nope, it's all the way up here. Now remember, we kind of have to work a little bit for something because we don't know. This is not a commercial pattern. This is a dress pattern from some factory or some company, and it just happens to be our favorite dress, and we want to copy. All right, so now we're going to do the same process. We're going to use our seam gauge. If you're one of those lucky people who has that French curve that I was talking about, more power to you. But we're going to I'm adding a 5/8. I selected 5/8 on my pattern piece. And I'm just following along that crayon edge, catching the nuances of the curves. And I'm going to go back afterwards, connect all the dots with pencil first, and then I'm going to go back with my marker and connect the dots. All right. Okay. Where's my pencil? And I'm going to try and catch all of these dots. All right, and where the dots can't go exactly, I'm just gonna follow along the line that extends, and they should cross in a natural place. And remember, don't get too freaked out by, oh my goodness, is it going to be exactly? It's not going to be exact all the time because we don't have this pattern. But we can get it close enough where we can enjoy a great design, and we can reinterpret it and put some new things. As you know, on this particular pattern, I put different arm sleeve caps. I put different things on them. I could still go back and put like a gathered sleeve with elastic on the top. There's many different things I can do with it. So you can take your best design, something that you love about a dress, and you can add to it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add the line. Now look, on this dress piece, remember, this is the side front bodice. None of it is on the fold. So we have to make sure that 5/8 allowance is everywhere. And smooth out the things that look a little too, it might look a little too sharp to you. Like right there, I smoothed that out a bit. You can, it's okay. You can use your skills to do that. So now remember, this is the front side, let's just say front side bodice. Now you know you're going to need to cut two. Oh, and something that I forgot to add to the last one, please enclose the grain line. I really love this this paper because it has a grid on the back, but you can just figure out the straight and narrow so that when you place your things, you know the grain line is very important. Okay, let's move on to the back and practice our technique. I'm sure you kind of getting the hang of it, but I don't like to leave anybody halfway there. Now remember, now that we have made these two pieces for the front, now, if you remember, each one of these pieces had a facing. Each of them had a facing, and you can decide how long you want that facing to be on your dress, all right? Or if you're like me and you made them reversible, you didn't have to deal with facing. But you could come down to this length, and you could put the place where you're going to put your facing and kind of match it. And for the center front, I went down about, let's see, I went down about 3 inches. That's a good size. So on my center front, I'm going to go about 3 inches, and over here 3 inches, and that is where I'm going to cut out or make a facing. So once you cut this out, you can use this pattern, the piece that you just made, to create a inside facing piece for your garment. All right. Now, so that is the front of the garment. Let's do the back. Oh. Okay, so now I'm just gonna smooth out some of these rubbings with my crayon. All right, I'm going to follow the same process. I'm going to go around and put my 5/8 of an inch seam. If you're doing 3/8, that's good, whatever you feel comfortable with. But I'm adding my sewing seam widths in, so don't forget about it and have some disaster happen to me where it's too small after creating this garment pattern. I'm gonna use that. We're going to make with our handy pencil again. Now look, when you're making this, if you have sewn before, you can tell if maybe you've missed a point or something seems too sharp, and you can smooth it out. Remember that you're creating like your own pattern and a potential muslin, but remember, once you have made this, especially if you know it fits you, you can make as many different variations of the item that you choose to make as your heart desires. So for me, that seems a little odd, so I'm going to smooth it out. All right, I can always adjust it when I'm sewing, especially if I'm going to make a muslin first. If you choose to make a muslin first and see how this fits on you, see if there's anything that you didn't quite catch, I recommend that too, because remember, if this is one of your favorite items, it is worth the make. So now right away, I'm going to put zipper right here so I don't get confused. This is the center back and this is the sides. Now I'm going to cut my pieces apart and then add in my marking so things will line up. Now here's the test. Let me find a marker. It's because this is a curve, it's hard to see if it will match up, but it does. Let me see, like it starts here, goes like there, and then curves back out, and it lines up pretty good for me. So I'm going to go from, I'm going to start at the top here, and I am going to put a line across. You can do hearts if you want. You can go do a triangle if you'd like. All right, but that should match up when I'm working on this dress. That should line up there. So that's one of my markers. Now let's see if my side markers do the same thing. All right, starts up there, comes down here. Not quite. So I have to take that into consideration. All right, remember the first couple of times you do it, you're gonna find that there might be. So right here is something I'm gonna have to address. I'm either gonna have to make this a little shorter, this a little longer. I will adjust that in my muslin, but I would like it to line up here. So I'll draw a line first across, and then I'll add a little triangle right there so that they will match up there on the side. Now this side I said was a zipper, so it's okay. All right. Now I will copy the front and the back, and I will draw my facings on them. So let me go ahead and do that while we're right here, so you don't get confused about facings on your garment. Okay, so for instance, this is on a center fold. We can now trace around this because we've already made it for the top. All right, so we're right here. We can connect this, and this is the front bodice facing, okay? And this is going to be on the fold, okay? All right, and so that's the front facing. We can cut that out. Now, if you remember from the dress I'm making, it had a front and a side facing, but not for the back. So that's the front. Here's the side, okay? So I'm just gonna trace what we've already designed here. So I'm gonna trace there, there, here, and I could either use, I can freehand, or I can use a ruler or a French curve. Okay, so this is the front side bodice facing. Okay, and this is this touches the front. All right, so now I have my facing pieces for the front as well as the top of my garment, okay? So that was not a lot of work for a pattern of a dress that you absolutely love and fits you exactly. I think you'd agree. So first things first, I'm going to smooth out some of the rubbings. The other ones are pretty clear. Now, just so I don't get confused, zipper. And after I'm done, I will measure how far down the zipper comes on my original garment. All right. This side, remember, this is the front skirt. And this is on the fold. Right? So because it's on the fold, we're only going to cut one of these on a fold. But if you remember, I told you there was very, very discreet amount of gathering. I almost feel like it's for ease. So I'm going to come out just about that further. This is a guesstimate, and I am going to ease that into this side here so it gives me room to gather. And I'm going to say gather slash ease a bit. All right, because the gathering was so fine. Okay, so now I'm going to go around this, add my dots, and then add my 5/8 of an inch, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now the front skirt is done. We're ready to do the back. Okay, first thing, let us straighten out our skirt, lay it perfectly flat so we can get all the nuances of this beautiful 3/4 circle skirt. Nothing bunching up underneath. Nice and smooth. Alrighty, and we are ready to get our paper in order and start rubbing. But I need the whole skirt. Well, it looks like the back of the skirt is bigger than the front because it can barely fit on my table, but fit it does. All right, let's get to rubbing. Phew, we barely got that on this piece of paper. Now remember, if your piece is bigger than your wrapping paper, whatever paper you chose to use, I wouldn't use newspaper just because it gets so dirty with the ink, because they use a low grade of ink. But I barely got this on here. You can splice some pieces of paper together. You can even use old copy paper that you're not using anymore that you can just get rid of. So I'm going to go back to the same thing as before. I'm going to smooth out the lines that I see, and I'm going to go with I'm going to use my method of using my seam gauge and going all around and placing my dots to help guide me in adding my 5/8 of an inch. So in the meantime, this is another one of those opportunities to chat since it takes a little while to go around a skirt this big. I think the reason why someone turned me on to rubbing a pattern out, I don't know how many years ago, and I just got used to doing it on things I absolutely loved, had bought, and wanted to make another copy of, but maybe it didn't have pockets. Maybe I didn't like how it hung on my shoulders. I wanted more room. All sorts of reasons why you would adjust something. But once you find something that you absolutely love and you don't find a pattern, you don't necessarily have to find a pattern for something. You can actually just really like the thing, and now you can just make a copy. Now, in the case of my daughter, how she moved in this dress let me know that she absolutely loved it. And then as the time went by, as the washings came, I could see that it was starting to fade. So I know how much she loved it. So the first time that I copied it for her was the red dress for her brother's rehearsal dinner. And it was such a success, and it was so beautiful on her. I had done it, the description of the Ankara said red and black abstract, but I did not see the flashes of blue. So when it came, I told her, I said, this is your Spider-Man outfit. So ever since then, it's become the Spider-Man dress, even though it has no emblems or webs on it. But it does look a little Spider-Man-y. All right, I'm going to connect my dots, and we're going to go ahead and label this before we go. Let me cut it out first. I'll be right back. Now remember, we're going to have to transfer some markings. First of all, this is the back skirt. There's going to be a zipper over here. What we're going to do is I'm going to take the original dress and see where that zipper fits. And when I was looking through the dress, hold on, let's go ahead and put in our grain line, because this is set on the grain. I did notice this is the side that there is a pocket in the dress. So I'm going to look for the pocket, find out how far down it is, and make a mark on the sides here. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I found that the zipper extends to this part. I don't know how long, maybe it's a 14 or 21-inch zipper. I also found pockets, so the pockets start here and there. Now, I think after putting together all of this, that you know how to make pockets. Okay, so I'm going to go inside the dress, and here it is. Here is the pocket pieces, right? So now look, the only problem with this pocket is when I made Sarah's clothes is I like the pocket opening, but where it's placed, but you can't get your iPhone 10 in here, or 14 or whatever we're up to now. So I replaced this with a bigger pocket on her dress. These are some of the pockets I make that I use in some of my clothing. Very often I change the pocket because I like to be able to get my phone in there. So here are some options. And you can do the same. And there you have it. That's how I rub out a garment to make a copy for myself, or a pattern for myself. I already know the item fits me. That's why I want a copy. Facing pieces, pockets, All those sort of things will sort themselves out when you rub them out and add the seam allowances, and you can construct it however you like. She was a really good sport, and I will include a gallery of all of the copies of this dress I have made. Thank you very much for watching. Keep making with joy, and we will see you soon.